The thing then works for us by working through us and as us always. It cannot work for us in any other way. It spreads itself over the whole universe and shouts at us from every angle, but it can become to us only when we recognize it as power. Only then. If Sunday is a social time for you, okay, that's nice. But there's an opportunity for you here that it's so much more than a simple social time. It's so much more than that. Because there's two things that we're called to do, okay? One is to develop the tools and the skills, okay, of prayer, treatment, meditation, spiritual practices. But the other thing is to develop the relationship with whatever you name it. Intelligence, inspiration, life, God, holy Jesus. I don't really care. I really don't care. But you develop your relationship and you develop the tools and skills. And then as they grow and as they come together, that's what expands through you. So at the very beginner level, let's say you've walked in here only a few times, right? What I just said still applies, and it applies at a very beginner level. So at a beginner level around here, mostly it might just sound like affirmations, just basic affirmations. But as those tools develop, as the relationship develops, it gets a little bit more sophisticated. And then it grows into prayer treatment, and it grows into you really exercising your language, and you're monitoring what you say because you realize, oh Lord have mercy, I'm co-creating all the time, and I don't have the luxury of not being meticulous with my language. And that's what happens in that intermediary place. And then as you continue to advance, you get to the point, unless you're a teacher or a practitioner where you have to give it language, you get to the point where you just live it. It can almost seem like you're not in it at that point. For some of you who have been around for a long time, it could have a feeling like you're not really doing it anymore. But that's because it has seeped into your bones. It has seeped into your way of being so much, it's like a fish in water. You don't know you're in the water. You don't know you're in principle. Because you are principle. That's our goal, is to be that principle, okay? So the title for today has something about read the instructions. So with every good set of tools, or something you're going to put together, so this is your life, there are sets of instructions. Not everybody reads the instructions, right? Not everybody reads the instructions. I have the funniest picture of Donald Bay and Reverend Joel putting together these simple bookshelves. Remember that, Dan, from a couple of years ago? And the papers and the things are all over the place. I'm like, these are intelligent men. What's going on? But there are instructions, and there are things to listen to and pay attention to. But some of those instructions are in places that you might not suspect, or that you have dismissed, or, and I questioned about saying this or not. So for my non-American born people in the room, if you don't know what this means, later ask me and I'll see if I can try to figure out how to tell you. Some of us throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do you know what that means? Yeah, okay, later. We'll do that later, because that's a really hard thing to translate from English into another language. So, and maybe I'll get help from my Spanish-speaking people later. So some of us do that. I wasn't quite that, because I didn't have the bathwater or the baby. I didn't have the religion. I didn't have the religious upbringing, right? I just thought it was all crap. I mean, I did. That's just the truth. Because I didn't have it, and it wasn't encouraged, and it wasn't invited. There was no warm fuzzies for me around it. And so now, as an adult, to now be diving in, to now be willing to look at the Bible, to now be willing to look at so many different things that I missed is such a blessing. I have gifts that are now before me, and not just this moment, but for the last, like 15 years since being a minister. And so a few of the things that some of us, and I'm speaking mainly to those of you who are Christians or have had some kind of Christian life, And I don't know where some of this crosses over into the Christian Judeo. I don't know where it crosses over. But the Beatitudes. There are some things that have been in your face for years, but sometimes we become metaphysicians and we think that the other stuff didn't make any sense or it didn't work. But the truth is there's a lot of beauty in it. The 10 Commandments. If everybody that you and I know followed and practiced the 10 Commandments, this world would be a gentle and loving place. There's a lot of wisdom in those commandments. But they're called commandments, and they talk about them coming on a stone, and some of us go running in the night at this, this whole idea, right? We do. We go running from the story that surrounds it and the dogma that surrounds it. And so I'm reminding you, don't throw it out. Revisit it. Revisit it from the new mind. Revisit it from the mind of a metaphysician and say, well, what is the value here? And you all know this one, and I would like you to speak this with me. You all know it. I think you all know it, which is the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. The good news is that you all know it. But there's other news. It's not really a prayer. And you've missed the gift. It's a set of instructions. It's a set of instructions on how to engage life. So what happens is, it's a good thing because we could all say it. We could go to a birth, or we can go to a memorial, or you can go to a public setting, and they could say, let's say the Lord's Prayer, and everybody knows it. So that's like a lovely thing. But it's a set of instructions. So the Master Jesus, when the Master Jesus, as it is credited to this individual, spoke those words, it was to tell us how to speak to the law. Thy will be done. There was no beseeching, there was no asking, there was no requesting, there was declaration, there was command, there was demand, there was calling forth. Thy will be done. In heaven as on earth. In heaven, consciousness. In earth, demonstration. I encourage you to revisit that prayer as a set of instructions, and then ask yourself, do I speak in this manner? Do I pray in this manner? How do I use my thinking, speaking stuff? How do I do it? Because anything that we speak, we cannot avoid. So for those of us, anybody watching, if you're on my Facebook page or my Rev Jersey Girl page, I broke down the other day. I admit it. I broke down. I had a moment. And I gave voice to the moment. It's not the all of me. It was just a moment. But since I came back from a ministers' gathering back in October, I said to you, I'm not going to complain anymore. I'm not gossiping. Now, I don't do that about people in general, but I'm not going to complain about the political system, and I'm not going to speak out loud about it. And I said, oh, all people will have safe passage through my mind. That's what I said. Do you remember that? All people have safe passage through my mind. And then the other morning, I woke up pissed off. And I had a moment. I just had a moment. I won't even repeat it. You could just look at my Facebook page if you want to. I'll friend you if you're not my friend. Rev Jersey Girls, my brand page. But it's not the all of me. But the truth is, whether I said it out loud or I thought it, it's still being actualized. And so for that moment, I decided to just spend the energy and let it be. Because sometimes there is appropriate times to take action. There is appropriate times. Because what I know is There's a lot of love in this room. There's a lot of love here, lots of love. And what I know is that, and I've seen you all do it, I've seen you rally around people. I've seen you come to each other's aid. I have benefited from people carrying my boxes and packing my boxes and my furniture when I moved 2 times in 3 years. Bless you all. So there's a lot of love. And what I know is if, God forbid, something was threatening Beth right now, I would not stand here going, I would take a stand. If someone's going to speak in a disparaging way about my homosexual community and that aspect, I'm going to take a stand. So there is appropriate times for us to say, no, this is the line. This is the line, and this is where I belong here. Now, how you handle that or what you do with that, you have to figure that out. We all have to figure that out as individuals. But what I do know is that I can't keep continuing to find fault and not feel the effects of that. That's the whole through me thing. The thing itself works through us. So even though I had a moment, and this was kind of my disclaimer to explain the moment, what I know is I'm not going to give a lot of language or license to things that I'm challenged with. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to process it. I'm going to pray it. I'm going to forgive it. I'm going to do what I have to do. Because if I attach myself to it through being demeaning, then it becomes who I am. There's no language can enter your being or pass through your being that does not actually become who you are. There is simply no separation between that. It's not one step then the other. It's live time. So that's why kindness, live time, acceptance, live time, compassion, live time, all of those things, that it becomes the very fiber of our being. Are you with me on this? Okay, this is a critical distinction. And Tony, thank you for reminding me about this. You've heard it, I'm going to say it before, I'm going to take you there right now. There is a place within you, at the core of your being, that has never been hurt, harmed, or injured in any way. I'm glad you've heard it many times that you can repeat it back to me. Should you choose to want to peel away the conditioning of the stuff that Tony spoke of, one of the greatest ways is to go and to visit that place in you on a daily basis, to feel it, to actualize it, to just be in the presence of. It is the source of your being. It is a resource for inspiration and good. But you have to go and touch it. So I'm going to invite you to come with me now. Yes? Yes. Good? So what I'm going to do is use our bowl here. And if you will, close your eyes. And get very still. Very, very still. And begin to move slowly and deeply into that core of your being where you have never been hurt, harmed, or injured in any way. That place that incarnated with you in this lifetime. That place that is untouched by humanity, untouched by form. And even though I'm saying it's within you, it is truly a non-local part of you. It is your strength, courage, your love. And for some of you, you might not be able to find it right away, so sit within it as I ring the bowl and let yourself feel it. This, my dear family, as Tony has said this morning, this is your strength, your identity. So when we come together and we say, I am the place where love resides, it isn't that place. If in this moment you couldn't touch it, I encourage you to engage support in finding it. It is your strength and your beauty. And should you identify with this essence, and should you take time to drink of it every day, world and form will cease to own you. So stay with me for another moment and imagine yourself coming upon a body of water. It could be a mountain stream. Cold, fresh, pure water. It's the living waters of your truth, the truth of spirit. Walk up to the waters and you can do one of three things. You can baptize yourself from these living waters. You can cup your hands and drink of these waters, or you can dive in and allow these living waters to wash from you the toxic ideas, the toxins within your body temple, to revitalize and re-energize your body. Let it carry away your thoughts of limitation and negativity and your self-destructive ideas. Let it carry it all away. And then step out of the water pure, remembering who you are, feeling it. This is who you are. And I tell you with all of my being, I promise you, this is who you are. Yes, you might forget from time to time. I forget from time to time. But my goal is to remember as often as possible. So just stay with that another moment longer. And then in just a couple of seconds, I invite you to open your eyes, take a breath, and then look at into the eyes of someone around you, and allow your core essence to see it in someone else, and just look them in the eyes. See that essence. Be recognized and recognize. That is the truest namaste practice you could ever hope for. This is your strength. This is your beauty. This is the truth of your being. I swear that this is true. So let us surrender this into prayer. There is a power and a presence and a love so grand and so beautiful. It lives and breathes and has its being in each of us. It ebbs and flows and moves, and it's magical. And it is in so many ways miraculous in its effect. Let us praise this one by any language. Let us praise this one by practicing, by loving, by speaking into it and allowing it to be who we are every moment of every day. As much as possible. When we forget, let us go back. So I know for each and every person here, and anyone who's ever crossed the threshold, any member who's current, and any member who was, and any member who's going to be, I know for each and every one of us, and your families, and your loved ones, and your exes, anyone whose life you touch, I know that you touch them from that place. And I believe in your ability to allow this to be your identity, for this to be your one and only authority. Your authority is the authority of Spirit as you. So the way it works is through us, as us. I declare that we each remember this, that we walk out this door, it is remembered, it is practiced, whether in the quiet of our own mind or in the company, or in our job. At all places we remember it. And it might not always look like that, because some other people forget. Let us remember. Let us call this experience forth. Oh, I am so grateful for this moment, and this feeling, and this celebration of the love of the one. And with bountiful gratitude for who we are and the way we are, I simply surrender this word with great enthusiasm into law, into love, and into the awe of life. Please join me in saying, and so it is. Thank you.